Okay, good morning. This is Navy Old Salt Gamer. For you that were watching me on Mimas, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to pause on that one. The math on that one was kind of rough, so I'm going to get started on Mars. I'm going to make this one kind of a beginner level one for people that are just starting the game. So this might be kind of a slow one for the experienced people, but so let's make a new world. Mars. Select, I think I'm going to do easy for this one. And hit start. Okay, so the first thing you want to do on Mars is set up a place to work your machinery. It's pretty much the same on every planet. And you should set up your screen here. Everybody does it a little different. You'll just have to experiment with that and get it the way you like it. I'll put these over here. And that's where I start. Alright, so what do you need to start? I always take the good battery. Don't need the door yet, airlock. I think that's the only thing I need in that one to start with. You will need the power controller. And I don't use this, some people do. You need the arc furnace. I never use the flares. So basically you just take things that you start with. Now the atmospheric analyzer you're going to need, so you could just drop that into your tablet. The pill you don't need, so you do need the solid generator, so I'll swap them out. You need the iron frames. You need the iron sheets. You don't need the tracker right away. You don't need the duct tape unless you have an emergency. And you'll need the plastic sheets to start with, but you could wait for that a little bit. Alright, so next thing you want to do is you want to find a space. Don't build too close to your lander because your lander will interfere. You won't be able to score out your base if you want to. You want to start on kind of a high spot, but you got to experiment a little bit. You want to be able to see the whole block. So that's probably a good place. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's go this way as far as I can away from the lander. And I usually do a 5x4. Is this last one going to work? Yeah, I think it will. I usually do a 5x4 section to start with. You just right click on the blocks. I'm sorry, left click on the blocks. It might be a little high over here, but you don't have to do 5x4. You could go a little smaller if you want to, but what I do is I set this up and eventually I enclose this on the inside of my base, and that way I don't have to rearrange everything. And I'm going to take I don't like having my base under, so you can take your mining tool and just tap it a couple times and you'll clear out the dirt from on top. Alright, so that's good. And then you take your welding gun and your steel sheet, or your iron sheets, and you only need to put one on here to start. You'll need these iron sheets, so you don't want to waste them. That makes so you can walk on that. It's not secure from atmosphere. And you hover over the area you want to weld and hit the left button. Alright. So let me turn that off. That has if you open it up, you can see it has what's called a fuel canister, which is 33% oxygen and 66% volatiles. You can refill this, but I'll show you. You won't have to do that. We'll make a tool maker, and we'll go with a arc welder that uses a battery, and you don't have to worry about using or wasting fuel in there. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, so once you get your basic bottom setup, the deck, then you want to go, I usually start with the solid generator. Again, this is all up to you how you want to do it. I like to put the solid generator in the corner because I'll probably continue using that for a while. And if you put it in the corner like this, you can frame around it because you don't want this inside your base because it pollutes the air. So I put the power facing this way, and then I'll put a battery there eventually, probably pretty quick. And the power controller, basically what this does, it isolates your electrical circuit. I lost all my settings here. I guess that's it. Okay, isolate your electrical circuits for your data input, which we'll get into sooner than later here. This is where I put my big battery. The one that's, they only have one spare large battery in there. You got a bunch of smalls. Well, three, I guess, 2 or 3 smalls. And then you want to wire this. You won't need this right away, but you'll need it pretty quick once you start making things. I'm assuming you know how to use the wire. I don't want to get too basic, but just hold the wire in the hand and then left click. I like to try and keep it somewhat organized, follow the frames. I'm not one of the people that get overly crazy about having things obsessively compulsive, but alright, so one of the first things you're going to have to do is make your auto lathe. That is a beginning piece of equipment that you use to make just about everything else. To make anything else but this, you got to have orders. So what I usually like to do, and you don't use this, I don't use this for very long. This is the arc furnace that you make your ores with. I think I'll go this way. And I usually put that relatively close to this because, like I said, this is only temporary. This isn't going to be here for real long. And wire that up. And I think I might have to go one more. Yeah, probably. Okay, so that's connected to your power source. So you're ready to smelt ores. That's an important step at the beginning. And then you can build your auto lathe. Now I'm going to probably go through this pretty quick, but remembering I want to use this for the inside of my base eventually. So I'm going to set this up the way I want it to be in the future. That's probably a good spot there. I want this as close to the back, but I don't want it through the wall. And I'll go through this pretty quick, but for this you need the welding torch and iron sheets. And then to start your welder, you hit the right mouse button. And you don't want to let that run too much because, like I said, it does burn the fuel. And then I think I need cable coils. Oops, can't do that. It's got to go up there. And left click on those. That part's done. And then you need plastic sheets. That's the main thing for plastic sheets is making these. And I think I need a screwdriver. And that's constructed. Now if you open this menu, you'll see, and it's not powered yet, so probably won't be able to. Yeah, let me run the wire over there first. To start with, you don't need the data. Save your cable. Just skip it. can add it later if you want to put data in there, but you'll go through cables like crazy at the beginning of this game. I usually do. And I see how it's red there. One of the key things, and this the first time I played this game, I was like, why won't it let me do that? You need the clippers in your other hand because you're cutting this existing wire to add in a wire. So it requires you to have the clippers in the other hand. Alright, so now if you try and power this up, nothing happens. You got to go back here and see how the battery's blue. That's fully charged, or probably 99%, something like that. That'll start going down now. I turned the power controller on. You know it says off over there, and it says on here. You're looking at the little paddle, and the paddle says on, you're good. They didn't design that very well. Now you can look. You can see this has all your starting stuff, your basic gear that you need. Kits, mainly. You'll use this all the way through the system, or all the way through the game. But if you look, one of the first things you're going to want to make, and I'll just type it in, you can do a search up here. You want the electric electronics printer. But you see the problem. I have no iron, no gold, and no copper. So save power, turn that off. So now we have to go find iron, gold, and copper, and I took too long in this dark. Oh, here's copper right here. This is probably my least favorite part of the game, mining. And we'll go through how you stop doing that in an episode in the future here. I'll probably get 2 stacks of these, that'll be enough. And you can see them automatically being put into my welding, or my mining over here. So I got the iron. We need iron and gold. Silicone I don't need right away. And don't get lost. It's very easy to get lost in this game. This is better to do. I don't need cobalt. This is better to do in the morning, and there is a tracker. I think it's that. I'm already lost. I swear I'm over this way. Ah, phew. Okay, so let's solve that problem. Which side was I think it was over here. My lander. Let's get the tracker out here, and I think I have a tracking. We'll show you. This is actually a good thing to start with. That's your tracking device. We'll pick that up. And a tracking card, which I had somewhere and put in here. Analyzer. There it is. The tracking card. So we'll pick that up. You can make a GPS card, but since we don't have any orders yet, you can't do that. And just drop that, doesn't matter. See, now that's got a battery in it already. You take your atmospheric card, put the tracker in its place. Now if you turn this on, what happened to my... Oh. Something disappeared here. What in the world is going on? I took my suit off. My mouse is acting up. Ugh. Okay. See, now this will always point to where the tracker's at. So now we can go mine and not worry about getting lost. We can just turn that on. So I'll just run in one direction. Like I said, we need gold and iron. Lots of copper. That's a volatile. You'll need those eventually. More silicone. Lots of silicone. Here's gold. This takes the longest to mine. I don't know why they have it set up to be so hard to mine. Gold is a soft metal, but That's what the game makers did. Oh, right into silicone. I don't want silicone. That looks like more gold. There we go. And you want one stack of this. So you need some of this at the beginning. You don't need a whole bunch of it. I'll only show the mining part of this for the beginning. I don't want to waste time showing you how to mine too much, but okay, so there we got one stack of iron, so we'll fill up, for gold I mean, we'll fill up the rest with iron. And usually iron's easy to find. This might be a world that doesn't have, it is randomized a little bit, I think not much, but this is oxide, you'll need those later. Oxide and more volatiles. More cobalt, here's some iron. Here we go. Hopefully this is a vein big enough to fill up my... Oops, next to some cobalt. I don't want the cobalt. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead. You use a lot of iron, so I'll just fill up the rest of my mining bag with iron. As long as this is big enough, getting there. I don't want the cobalt. One more, if there is one more here. That was actually a pretty healthy vein. There we go. And once your bag is full, it'll just drop the ore. So what I'll do is, I won't waste that, I'll pick it up. It's only two, but... Alright, so now I gotta find my way back to the base. We'll swap that with that. And the base is this way. Now, if you have a storm, and I've done this numerous times, this planet does, Mars does have storms. And anything laying loosely, not inside a building, not in a locker or something like that, like this tracker is, yeah, that's just laying there, that's going to go bye-bye. I've lost many a tracker that way. Okay, so one thing you want to keep an eye on is your battery. It's still at 98%, so that's pretty good. It's going to start going down a lot faster now. I don't want that in there. You can turn this off since you're here. Just click on it. Now, iron is pretty quick, so we'll do one of the irons. I could go out and mine some more, but I'm going to do one batch of iron, one batch of gold, and one batch of copper. And instead of having you sit here and wait, I'll pause it until the battery goes dead. So I'm going to hit the pause button. While I'm waiting, I just thought of something. That was fast. Okay, so we'll put that the copper in there next. Notice your battery right here goes down. You can slow that down. See your temperature, target temperature? You can slow that battery going down by turning your target temperature. I always turn it down to 5, unless the planet that you're on hollers at you. That saves battery. You can also save air. You see, your air is set for 100. You don't need your air at 100. You only need 20. I usually leave it at 21 because sometimes it'll holler at you if you turn it all the way down to 20. And this is affected a little bit by your game setting too, so. But this saves you a lot of air. I'll go to 21. There's my target, 21.
Low pressure.
Okay, I may have to, yep, I'm going to turn it up a little bit. That's because the actual pressure went under 20. So there you go. We're good now. Something else I didn't think of. We have to find some coal, and now there's daylight, and I got 2 slots available. Let's look for some coal. Am I going to get lucky? I am lucky. Look at that.
Power low.
First power low warning you don't have to worry about. You're at 50%. You got quite a ways to go yet. Well, let's get some coal so I can fire up the generator and keep my batteries charged as needed. Okay, again, you know how to mine, so I'm going to pause this. I don't want to bore you. Okay, so I got 2 stacks of coal. And you can see your base from a distance. I wish the draw distance was a little further, because it doesn't seem to be real accurate. I'm still in the green. My second order is done, so now we're going to do gold. Gold takes the longest, but you want to pick these up. Now, you don't get a storm for a while. When you first start the game, the storm is delayed. Otherwise, you'll be exposed, and that wouldn't be a fair start. But, so, you only need, for the electronics printer, you only need 2 gold. You can see I've already done 5. They're stacks of 50. So you can pause that and start it again. And you have 5 gold. So now we'll go ahead and make the electronics printer. It takes a while. You can walk away. This will keep making them until you run out of ore, but you can fix that. Again, this is a beginner's note, just by hitting the arrow button and changing the next thing that's printing. It won't interrupt your printing, but it won't keep printing electronics printers over and over either. See, now I'm getting down to 40% on my battery, and this battery is now still at 70. So what I can do, and this one will eat coal, so you don't want to just put coal in here and turn it on. You want to use it as smartly as possible. And this will charge the battery. So I'll get this one fully charged, and then I'll swap it out with my suit battery. And this is still going. We're only up to 55%. And we're up to 88 here. I didn't see a lot of coal on this planet, on this particular one. I had to go quite a ways to find the coal, which doesn't bode well for the future. Alright, so you can just swap them out. Now you want to charge that battery. You want to keep your batteries charged. Unfortunately, the coal doesn't tell you how much coal you have left, but if you keep an eye on this, 50 coal will last you quite a while. You just have to turn it off and on. We'll automate this pretty quickly here, so it comes on and off. I want to build a station battery. That's why I left a gap here for a station battery and a transformer. There we go. Where am I at here? Keep that in mind so I don't waste that. But now I have my electronics printer. So you want to put that somewhat close, not real close. I usually put 3 in between it. And again, it's the same. I'll get rid of that iron there. It's the same build for each one of these. So you start with steel sheets and a welder. Then you swip that up. That's easier to do this. The welder and the cables. Then you put the welder back and you swap that out with the plastic sheets. And then screwdriver. And you're done. The only thing you have left to do, the reason you want to print this second, the reason I do anyway, is cables. As you can see, I started with 50, I'm already down to 19. You can print cables on this. That's my battery. There we go. So now we can turn this off. You see there's still coal left in there. I used about half a stack to charge 2 batteries. Now, you can turn things off. That's still running. One thing you got to think about, if you're making something big, you interrupt the power. And I'll see if I can do that here. Sometimes it does it, other times it doesn't. But if you cut into the power, sometimes you interrupt what's happening. See? It did restart, so I didn't do anything. But if you're making something big that takes a while in here and you do that, it will turn this off and you'll have to start all over again. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. If you're making something big, you don't want to connect up another piece of equipment. As you can see, gold takes forever. I'm almost done. So now that we got the first two things, this is where people start to deviate a little bit. I like to get the big three, I call them, out of the way. You have your auto lathe, your printer. There we go. So I'm going to, I'll throw some iron in there. We'll keep smelting. Let's get this out of my hands. I like to get the big three. The other thing you're going to need is the atmospherics, or the pipe bender. It's called the pipe bender, but that's where you get all your atmospherics. So you just search for pipe, and again, this is going to take a little while, as you can see. So I hit the arrow so I don't have to watch. I'm trying to think what I could do. I don't have any extra. I should put copper in here. Oh, it's almost done. I'll smelt some copper next, so I can at least make some standard coils. Notes on coils. Let's do the copper first. We'll take this iron, put it in here, so I already got, since I got some iron in that other one. Notes on coils. This light coil, or just a regular coil, can stand 5,000 kilovolts. As you build your base, you're going to go above that limit almost certainly. So keep in mind that eventually you're going to want to upgrade these to, and I could show you, but it's a heavy coil. That can stand, don't quote me on this, let's find out. Oops, I can never remember. So you got cable coil and heavy coil. This can stand 100 kilowatts. 100,000 watts. That's pretty big. Your base probably won't exceed that, with the exception of if you use a lot of windmills. The big wind turbines, if you get a storm, you can easily get that up with, I think, 10 to 12 big windmills will, in a storm, will generate 100,000, and you'll blow cables. So you got to keep that in mind. So we're at 87%, and we're at 69% there, and my suit's 87, so we're still okay. While that's still going, how's this doing? 70%. Let's kick out the copper that I have in here. Now, if you run two of these at once, you're going to really drain your battery, but you kind of have to for time, so I'm just going to start kicking out some coils here. Eventually we'll put stackers on these so they don't come out one at a time like this, because that can get kind of annoying. But I'm kind of killing time here for another 15%. You want to keep the stack low. That's why you put stackers here, because if the stack gets high, then it starts kicking things up and you'll lose them. If you're on a planet with low gravity, it'll literally, and we'll see what happens, or maybe one or two more I'll show you. There, so it starts throwing things around. It gets worse and worse. And on a planet with low gravity, before you know it, you'll be launching things into orbit. I like to try and keep a stack of 50 coils, Andy. Okay, that's done. So I'm going to turn that off now. You got 38 cables. I'm going to turn that off. Remember to keep an eye on your battery. 53%. Let's put another stack of iron in there. Alright, so now we have our pipe bender. I'm going to probably put the entrance to my starter base over here somewhere. And again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So whatever you want to do. So I'm going to put this right here in the corner. And again, the standard iron sheets. You can see you go through iron sheets fast at the beginning of this. Cable coils. Plastic sheets. And a screwdriver. So that's all the major starting equipment. I'm just going to keep this going here until I run out of ore. Then I'm going to put the rest of the copper in there. And we'll put the iron out. I got iron in all three of my machines. That's the only reason I did that. And I got 4 gold left. And I can shut this down for time being. And that's only a couple tens. We'll just throw that in that one. Alright, so now we got to wire up. And again, you can wire these up any way you want. I try and keep them on the, maybe I'm a little OCD. I try and keep them on the center. There is reasons for that in the long run, but at this level you don't really have to worry about that too much. Okay, so I'm done with that for a while. We're going to turn it off, save some power. Put that in here. Okay, so now's when you deviate. So what do you want to make next? If you want to get rid of the arc furnace because it uses power, then I would suggest, and I think it's in the auto lathe, you want to make these at the beginning of the game, so I would suggest going with the furnace. Not the arc furnace, but a regular furnace. Let's see if we got everything we need there. Nope, we're a little short of iron. I could go mine some iron, or I could eject the iron that I have in that machine by pulling that lever and putting it in here. Like I said, you go through a lot of iron at the beginning of this game. So the furnace uses 30 iron, and 10 copper. I could go mine now. What do we got here? 42. I could go mine, but I like mining better in the daytime. I also don't like mining right next to my base because it makes holes. And you run off your base a lot, and you start mining in here, and you're like, all of a sudden you're stuck in a hole, and it gets annoying. So I like to keep my mining areas slightly away from my base. Alright. See, that's an orange, that's low enough. I'm still at 74. You see how much slower this is going down than it did at the beginning of the game because I turned everything down. It uses a lot less. So I'm just going to turn this on, charge that up, and then I'll swap the battery out. Shouldn't take as long this time. You already saw how to charge the battery. I'm going to pause it until the furnace is built, and we'll get started on that real quick. Okay, so it just kicked out the furnace. Always a good idea, especially at the beginning of the game, to keep things powered off. And this is just about, you have to have your hand empty to read the percentage, 97. So I'm going to switch this over real quick, and then let that one charge. Now the furnace, I always mess up where I put the furnace, because I always end up putting it where I'm thinking I'm going to put my entrance, because that's just a handy spot. So I think I'll put it over here. And you can know, this is, I mean, it's easy enough to tear this down. 83%, so I got enough time. Now there is no assembly on the starter furnace, and it doesn't start in the right orientation. I don't know why it does this. Now you see this gauge at the bottom, the little round spot at the bottom. You want that at the top. So you got to keep spinning it. You don't want the pipes at the top. You don't want the entrance. I don't. I see other people doing it. I don't like having the entrance or the exit of the oars. You see those arrows at the top or bottom. Now we got it the correct orientation. We just got to get the gauge facing the direction we want to. And you can't see it unless you twist, but you see that little round circle is now facing me. So we'll go ahead and slap that down. Might be wrench. I need iron sheets and something. Is it the wrench? I think it's the wrench to start with. It is. And you need the welder. There we go. That's the furnace. That's completed. There's a couple things I think I should... Oh, it turned off. So I used my 50 coal. So that was alright. I got this mostly charged. 83%. Now we want to run back. Is it over here, I believe? There it is. And get a couple things for the furnace. Not in there. Not in there. That's the food. I don't need that. Here's the pipes. I do want the pipes. And a valve. Oops. I can't grab it, can I? There we go. And you're going to have two there, but that's okay. I need a vent, but I don't want an active vent. I want what's called a passive vent. And I don't think I need anything else for now. So I do need a passive vent. And you remember I took all my iron out of here. This is pipes and atmospheric stuff. So any vents that you need are going to be in here. See, I need a passive vent, and I have no iron in there. Do I have some iron in back here? No. So I have to re-steel, and this becomes a little bit annoying to me. I have to re-steel the iron out of another machine and put it in there. I get in the habit, don't leave ores laying around, because if you leave ores laying around and a storm comes, bye-bye ores. So this prints out pretty fast if I remember right. Build passive vent. Yeah, that kicks out pretty quick. Alright, so if you go to the back of this, you don't have to worry about the input, just the output, because we'll be hand feeding oxide and volatiles into this. And I'll show you how we go about that. I'll just put the vent down. You want to put one pipe. And you want to put, this just shuts it off. Oops. This just shuts it off so you don't lose. I might not be able to put it there. I'm too close to the furnace. And you need a wrench to deconstruct pipe. So let's move it over here. Now I can probably put the valve down. And it automatically closes. I should put the vent further away. Let's see. Yeah, I should have put it further away, but we're going to try and make this work. I'll be moving this anyway once you go to the advanced furnace, so this is a temporary thing. There you go. Ruins my OCD, but... Okay. So your furnace is ready to fire, but we got no temperature in it. And again, this is going to be kind of a beginner's guide. So what we're going to do is we're going to run out here and get some of this red ore, which is the volatiles. Keeping in mind it's named volatiles for a reason. That was fast. During the daytime in Mars, if you look at the exterior temperature, it's above freezing. So let's see what happens when I drop a volatile. Poof, it melts. Now if you have an ignition source there, it may go boom. So you want to keep that in mind. Now I'm looking for ice oxides. And I think I saw some right there. Or is that, by the way, I am colorblind. It looks like oxides. I get oxides and cobalt mixed all the time. So I just want one stack of these. I don't want to carry too much of this around. 40, 50. I'll hand on onto the extra oxygen. Alright, so now, one of the problems with running the furnace during the daytime using ice, if I put that ice in my hand, it's gonna melt immediately, or slowly, not immediately. You can try and split it, but it's going to melt a little bit that way too. Why didn't you let me do that? Oh, by the way, pickaxe. Put it in your hand, hold the Q button, poof! You'll never need the pickaxe unless you have unless you lose this and don't have enough ore. So don't lose that. Don't lose your mining drill. There was one when I started playing this game where I accidentally fed the mining drill into a furnace, and yes, it will turn it into mush. Unusable stuff flies out the other side. So don't do that either. Alright, so let's try, if you left click, by the way, moving this around without turning, you hold Alt down. And then another beginner tip, hold the Alt key to move your arrow without looking. So then you move it over there, left click, and it'll bring this menu up. And you can do it for both of them. Now when you split half, I'm pretty sure it's going to put it in your hand, so split half, move it back into there. And I restacked it. That was dumb. Split half, move it back into here. Now you only got to worry about this during the daytime, when the temperature's above zero. At night you can handle the ice and it won't melt. Now when you use fuel of any kind, you want 2/3 volatiles, 1/3 oxygen. So that's still too big of a stack. Otherwise you're going to blow up. Let's get rid of these, so I only have one. You're going to blow up your furnace probably if you put that much in there. So let's split that again, put this over here. See how one melted while I was doing that. That's still too much. I can go with that though. Let's see. Now let's split it in half again. That's still too much. Okay, so that's 4. So if I wanted to use 4 oxygens, which you can just, it won't melt while you do this, you just put it in there. And I'm surprised I have to activate it because it's warm. In order to melt the ice, you have to hit the activate button. There you go. Now you have the oxygen in here. You melted the oxide into oxygen. And I gotta switch cards. There you go. And you have some nitrogen too. And when you melt oxide, you get nitrogen, which is actually kind of handy. But that'll sit there because the valve is closed. It's not going to go anywhere. Alright, so now we put 4 of those in there. If you put double the amount to get the 2/3. So with 4 oxide, I'm going to need 8 volatiles. So we're going to go through this again here. And we'll split this. Split half. I'm down to 12. 10. Well, I might as well do that. Oh no! It went in. That was unintentional, but that should be perfect. Then you hit the activate button and look. The temperature spikes. The pressure spikes. This gauge shows pressure. If you start getting into the red, you're going to risk blowing things up. And also, if you hover over it, you see the temperature is 1.9, which is really high. So, I shouldn't have done that right now because I don't have any ores ready to go, and I wasn't thinking ahead. So let's just stack all this back up. Alright, so let's go grab any ore real quick, and I'm going to do what I just said I don't like doing. I think I got some more of that over. I hate doing that. And again, I should have did this first, and I wasn't thinking. There's some stuff that I threw because it was in my hands. I'll pick that up. Oh, look at that. Iron hiding right here. And I looked all over for iron. Okay, again, I'm going to pause this while I fill up my belt here, my mining belt. Okay, so you don't want to do what I just did. You don't want to fire this up before you have your ore, because you can see the temperature went down. It's still plenty hot, but you need 900 or 800 K to smelt iron. So I'll show you. I just wanted to show you how much faster this furnace was. You can watch down here. Remember how long it took the arc furnace? Boom, there's 50 iron. So you want to get the furnace as soon as you can. It's so much faster. And you can leave that open and it'll automatically kick them out. And I think I have just a little bit of copper. But that just goes to show you how much faster this method is than, I think I need some iron in here if I remember right. And I took the iron out of here. So I just did 150 iron in the time it would have taken me to do maybe 5 in the arc furnace without using any power. Added benefit. Now I did all that. I'm going to go, I still have 900 degrees, but it's going to go down pretty fast. One of the things you want to watch, if you open this valve and there's volatiles and oxygen still in there, see how I burned up all the volatiles? There's only oxygen, nitrogen, pollutant, which is going to be the most of it, and CO2 is actually right up there. CO2 on this planet, you don't have to worry about. If you look, the atmosphere is made up of 95% CO2, although there's not a whole bunch of atmosphere. You can get your CO2 out of the atmosphere without much trouble. You can also get a tiny amount of oxygen and a tiny amount of nitrogen. This is one of the friendlier planets. There are vacuum planets where there is nothing for your atmospherics to use, and you have to make everything yourself. But since this temperature, by the time I get back, will probably be unusable, and I'm not in a position to save my air yet, and there's no volatiles in here, I'm going to exhaust it. There you go. That opens it up. That'll be all drained. How's my batteries? 79, 63. I'm okay. Alright, so I'm going to go mine a little bit more. This might be a good place to stop the introductory episode. This will get you set up. You're still not home free. Next episode, before I start it, I'll have some ores build up. And we'll set up a small living area to start with, and I'll show you how to pressurize it very simply on a planet like Mars. It's very simple to do, and make it breathable in no time at all. So that'll be it for this episode. Again, this is Navy Old Salt Gamer. This is kind of an introductory episode. I showed you how to get your basics set up. Next episode we'll set up the room. If you like it, subscribe, and we'll see you next episode.